business been going for now, like right now?
What tough topics do you have?
Yeah, any tough topics.
Well, the reason why I wanted to see you guys also here is to also ask some questions about, something that was on my mind, which is, as a newspaper, we are the voice of the people, right?
Yeah.
So I want to talk to you guys about something about bioterrorism. Like, what do you think the government should do about it? Should they tell the people about bioterrorism, or let's hear your thoughts.
Well, that's such a tough call because you have to do what's best for everyone. I'm learning in bioethics that that's called utilitarianism, doing what's best for more people based on what's just good for one.
That makes sense.
But, you also have to respect the public's autonomy and, give them the choice to make their own decisions. So you have to do what's ethically right in all those situations.
Yeah.
However, I think that hers is more like from a medical aspect versus me. I'll be like more from government for 8 months I've been. There's so much that I don't even know that they won't tell us.
Do you think that's better because they don't have to make you worry so much about those issues?
Because it kind of creates a panic sometimes. So I think with bioterrorism, if you tell the public and it's not an immediate threat, something just hit, then everybody's going to be chaotic. It's going to cause another
So you're saying
September 11th.
You're saying that the public should not be told if there's a bioterrorism happening?
Well, Dad, is it going to be an actual attack happening, or is it a potential for an attack?
I think it is potential for an attack.
See,
we don't know when it's coming.
So if it's potential and it's not actually this is what's happening, I don't think so.
Wait. Well, okay, let's say it is potential. Shouldn't it be better for us to know so that we will be prepared in case it does happen? Because what if it does happen and we don't know how to, we don't know what to do and stuff, so then that will also create panic if the public doesn't know.
Yeah. Well, I think it's something that the government needs to regulate. And I think the best course of action, in my opinion, is that they should see how the people can react to the situation. Whether it is panic or not, people should have the right to know.
So what are you going to say?
Well, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's a good subject. And
Yeah.
It is a good subject. We should continue talking about it.
So speaking about bioterrorism, you guys all know about Anthrax, right? Remember that?
Yeah.
Well, back then there used to be Anthrax attacks. The earliest one I remember was, or the most significant one, was back in 2001. It was actually a week. It was a very memorable but tragic event. But I believe that one thing that you probably should know is that Anthrax in that time, it actually was transmitted to 17 people through mail, and these mails were sent to different media organizations and post offices, and even to a couple senators. So they're trying to basically terrorize, our government, our country, and everything like that. But it also even killed 5 people. So imagine that. When I was doing my investigation, I saw one FBI report, and it said that it was probably the worst anthrax attack that was in history so far. But yeah, but speaking about anthrax, what was the mode of infection for anthrax, Abby?
Well, the usual mode of transmission of anthrax is when you inhale it. So it's through pulmonary. How it first starts is usually anthrax can be, transferred to a lot of people, starting off as spores. And usually, when you see the movies, all the, they're transferred in a package or in a, But as soon as the package or the mail or the envelope is open, you see all the dust particles. In the movies, they have that dust particles that pop out in the air. And, that's how the anthrax is transmitted into our bodies. And what happens is when we inhale that anthrax, because now it's airborne, now we inhale that anthrax and, You know, the anthrax is captured in your lungs, and because it's moist, it will start to grow, and then the toxin will expand a lot throughout your body. That's the usual mode of transmission, but there are two other ways. There's cutaneous through the skin or gastrointestinal.
I do remember learning that when we did a report in school, that anthrax can't be passed from person to person. Is that right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like because it can't be passed on the skin, but it can, because you said it's airborne. It could infect a lot of people in one area. Once it's in the air, then everyone could bring it in.
Yeah.
But we can't get it from, you know, being all lovey-dovey like our family
You can't spread anthrax by touching another person. If you have anthrax, you can't spread it.
Denise, since you're in the government, do you think that it can be a viable use for bioterrorism, anthrax? That is.
I don't believe that the viability of anthrax being used as a bioweapon would be, you know, really bad. Because, I mean, of course, the situation's bad no matter what, but since it can't be, you know, passed on just by like, hey, you know, sis, how are you doing? I think that it would be harder to, you know, be at an epidemic level.
So, how about, aside from telling people, like the mass of the continent, what about the children, you know?
Wow.
How would you guys think about that? I mean, in my position, being your father, I saw you guys grew up, and then like the media that back then was not as, I guess you could say, horrific. You know, you don't see people saying like, oh, someone died after this hit and run. You know, it's not as
show it on TV now.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Nothing is censored anymore.
Rated R now.
Yeah.
Media back then was more censored than it is now, and now you see it so much broad. So, you know, Denise, you being the one that has children, you know, in our family now, you know, with my grandbabies. I miss so many seeing them. But do you?
You're home with Dad.
Yeah. Do you guys? How do you feel about the media with the children and stuff?
I think that only because the times have changed so drastically, since the media is so open to showing everything, I have just sat down with the children, you know, kind of explain to them on their level, you know, what's going on, if something like this is to happen, you know, what we have a plan at home too, and that way they're not exposed to too much. Because if you just let them sit down and watch TV like we do, they're gonna perceive it their own way, you know, versus your mom and dad, the people that you trust the most, explaining to you what to do in a situation like this would be more comforting for them.
So thanks you guys for coming out here, you know, like...
Yeah, anything to help you with your paper.
Definitely.
I mean, thanks for helping your pops out. But,
Thanks for the dinner, Dad.
no problem.
Dinner and coffee is so good.
Yes.
But I was wondering, what do you guys think about what would be the most effective way to prevent, minimize, and even prepare for a bioterrorism attack?
Well, I think from, you know, coming from the medical field, I think the best way to prevent is to improve our vaccinations. You know, mainly improve our vaccinations, you know, make them more stable, you know, maybe have larger quantities of the vaccinations, making them easily, you know, larger quantities of the vaccinations, making them easily, you know, easier for people to get these vaccinations. Because apparently, you know, it's really hard right now, our vaccinations aren't stable enough, you know, there's not a lot of evidence that it's working really well. So I guess one of the main important things that we have to do in order to prevent is just to improve our vaccinations.
I think so.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, and I think the next step would be like to you know, keep the minimizing state down is we have to kind of like focus on a more aggressive biological warfare program, and I think unfortunately that falls in the hands of the politicians, because you know, they're the ones that go out to these other countries that we have, you know, dealings with and contacts with. And by them sitting down with them and talking with them and kind of like negotiating things, it kind of keeps the, you know, the threat minimal, very minimal actually. And then we can also kind of like, you know, nose in there and kind of see, okay, how many weapons of mass destruction do they have? How many plans do they possibly have if something was to set them off? By sending our people in there to get information, I think would be the best way to minimize it.
I think we should keep the public informed about what they should do if there is a possible attack. You know, have a public service announcement, or you know, have certain organizations, maybe like colleges or hospitals, send out maybe an email or just maybe an informational website about what you should do if there's a biological attack.
So that's the best way to prevent it?
Yeah,
I think
that's a good way to prevent it.
It's a great way to prevent it, but it's a great way to keep the public prepared.
And calm and not panic.
Calm. Exactly. They won't panic, but they'll still know what to do if something happens.
So
This is
I was
what you
thinking
can
that maybe like, you know, we all agree that like in the beginning I was kind of apprehensive in saying that, you know what, maybe we should tell the public, but knowing that there's panic and everything like that, we need to maybe reconsider that and say, you know what, we probably should tell the public.
Well, yeah, you guys convinced me. I mean, coming from, you know, the medical field and the health field, you know, I feel like, you're learning it in class, the ethical principle of deontology, and that's what I follow. It's the duty to protect your patients.
Yeah.
And I thought, and it's, you know, it also ties in with beneficence. It's like doing good, you know, trying to minimize the harms and increase the benefits.
Exactly.
So, you know, I thought that, you know, it is better to, you know, let the public know, you know, that they have to be prepared for like a potential bioterrorist attack, you know, because, you know, as a doctor, you know, it's my duty to, you know, tell the patients the truth, you know, protect the patient. So I was just, you know, following my doctor nature and just my doctor duties and you know, try to protect the patients in any way I can. And I thought the best way is to tell them about the potential. But now that I'm seeing it, I think it is probably a much more wise decision not to tell.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
Yeah, I definitely do. I think that we also learn about the ethical principle of utilitarianism, and almost like you were saying, now we've learned that it's better for everyone as a whole to not tell them, but just to have them be prepared. The medical field is prepared, the citizens are prepared, and the government is prepared, so that it's better for everyone if we have a plan, but we don't tell the public unless there is a specific threat at a specific time.
Makes sense.
Exactly.
Well, you know, hearing you guys and seeing you guys again, hearing you guys talk, it just makes me feel so proud as your dad to just hear how much you've grown and matured. But thank you so much.
So you have something to write for your paper?
I do now, and also it just makes me have a better.
Can you credit us in?
Yeah.
Can we get some dough?
Oh.